guys, as promised, here's my hero deck profile. Now, this isn't the best hero deck. Uh, for starters, we have 3 Neosalius. He's a nice big beat stick. He's level 4, he's light, and he's easily used for Miracle Fusion. We have Armageddon Knights, 2 of them to dump our Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. For those of you who don't know what Elemental Hero Shadow Mist does, I think, him, her, I'm just gonna call Shadow Mist to her. So she has 2 different effects. She has one when special summon, which is to add a change, I think mass change over here, quick play spell card from your deck to your hand, and if she is sent to the graveyard, whether it be by cost, card effect, battle, it's fusion, etc., or going to the graveyard while attached as a material, she will get her effect because it cannot miss timing. You get to add a hero monster from your deck to your hand. Keep in mind it is not limited to the elemental heroes. It can be used with other hero archetypes. But you can only use one of her effects per turn and only once during that turn, so you can't activate her sent to graveyard effect and send 3 in one turn and add 3 hero monsters. Next up we have Bubble Man. The main purpose of Bubble Man is that he can special summon himself when you have no cards in hand. Also, he does have an interesting ability. If you don't have any cards on field or in hand, he becomes a Pot of Greed. So you get a monster and you get to draw 2 cards if you summon him with nothing on field or in hand. But if you're in that kind of position, you've probably already lost. 3 E-Call. E-Call's a really good card. It lets you add any elemental hero monster you want to your hand. 2 Hero Lives, because I tried it at 3, but it became extremely cloggy, and it's not always the best option to first turn activate it and special summon your Shadow Mist, because you don't always need change quick plays. Also, they did get a new quick play called Form Change, which I will talk about later, that can also be added. And also there's the fact you have to pay half your life points, so early on in the game, it cannot be that good of a card. Next up we have Miracle Fusion. It's one of the best cards the deck has, except for Super Poly. You just banish materials from your graveyard listed on a Elemental Hero Fusion, and you get to special summon it. So it's pretty good. It's a 1 card XYZ so long as you've been going through your deck. Foolish Burial just for a little more dump power for Shadow Mist. 2 MSTs because back row is very prominent right now. 2 mass changes. The main reason why 2 is because of Form Change, and we'll get into that a little later. 3 Super Polymerizations, because stealing one of your opponent's monsters to summon your own is an extremely good way to go about playing the game. Form Change, what it does is you can target one of your hero fusions. It can be a masked hero or an elemental hero or even some other heroes, just so long as it's a hero fusion. You return it to the extra deck to special summon 1 masked hero with a different name from the extra deck with the same level. So, since we mostly run level 8s, if you want to, you can summon either Masked Hero Acid or Masked Hero Dean. I'll call him Dean. Then we have the Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Mirror Force, Torrential, the usual cards. The 3 called the Haunted is because you can actually, during your opponent's turn, activate this to special summon Shadow Mist to add your change cards. I'm thinking about dropping it to 2, just because there's 2 hero lives to special summon them, but it really doesn't do too terribly much. I told you guys I was going to talk about Mass Change Second. Now, what Mass Change Second does is you discard a card from your hand, but you send one face-up monster you control to the graveyard to special summon a masked hero of the same type and higher level from your extra deck. Now, you may wonder at first why this is a good card and why you wouldn't just use Mass Change instead. Well, the reason why is it doesn't have to be a hero monster. I would just like to point that out right now. It does not have to be a hero monster that you send. This one is you target a face-up hero. That one you discard a card, but you target any monster you have that has a lower level and same attribute as the masked hero you want to summon. So something interesting is water decks can now go into Masked Hero Acid and blow up back row. So there's that. Also, we are getting a new a new Masked Hero for the Masked Hero archetype. It's a dark attribute. It's, I believe it was level 6. Now, it's got a pretty good effect. If you guys know Macrocosmos, that is what the monster is. The monster is a Macrocosmos, but only for your opponent. As long as he's face up on the field, any cards your opponent uses are banished instead of going to the graveyard. Any cards that would go to the graveyard are banished instead. And also, if your opponent were to add a card to their hand once per turn, you can only use the effect of that specific card name once per turn, which means you won't be able to activate it per copy of the card. But once per turn, if your opponent would add a card from their deck to their hand outside of the draw phase, you can banish one random card from your opponent's hand. Now, this is pretty good because a lot of decks like to add from their deck to their hand, whether it be by drawing or just playing using search cards such as Tenki or activating Pot of Duality. Now, you may wonder, well, why would your opponent actually do this while the card is on the field? Well, the fact is, you can set Masked Hero Dark Mist, set your Mass Change, and end your turn. Then, when your opponent tries to do one of these things, or tries to send a card to the graveyard that you would rather have banished, you can activate Mass Change and chain to the card, and you will be able to send your I think that Mass Change Second lets you send face down cards. So that's one reason why you'd run it. If it doesn't, then I'm just making a fool of myself. But either way, Mass Change is a really good card. I like it a lot. And also, keep in mind, our friend Shadow Mist over here, yeah, she gets her effect whenever you send it for mass change. Whenever you send her for your mass change, so she will special summon your She will special summon your new masked hero. Add a card from your deck to your hand. Add one of your hero monsters from your deck to your hand. And then your opponent now has to play like they were playing against Macrocosmos. Except they can't just MST it. They have to do something else to it. They also can't add, so... Well, they can add, but it could wind up very bad for them. Because you get to banish a random card from their hand. Super Poly, that's fairly self-explanatory. A lot of people know why the deck runs Super Poly. You just take one of your opponent's monsters and one of yours, and make your own monster. Also, for anyone who doesn't know, the Shaddoll archetype... Hold on. Let me switch down to them so you guys can see it. The Shaddoll archetype is the new fusion archetype that I believe I've mentioned before on my channel. You guys may not have watched that video, but I did mention it. They are getting... Notice that this one takes a Shaddoll monster and a Dark monster, while this one takes a Shaddoll monster and a Light monster. Well, we are getting a new one that takes a Shaddoll monster and a Fire monster. Now, what it does is, you remember that card, Blackhorn of Heaven? Well, he is a Blackhorn of Heaven. Once per turn, you can negate the inherent special summon of a monster and destroy it. So there's that. The game is going to get a lot more interesting. Also, I do have one archetype I'm looking forward to. I'm actually really looking forward to what the Dante's Inferno archetype is going to be. I know that that's not actually the name of the story, but they are calling it the Dante's Inferno archetype. So for those of you who get mad about that, I do know, but they are calling it the Dante's Inferno archetype. And there's not anything I can do about that, and there's people who would have no idea what I was talking about otherwise. So, I also have some showdown videos. Now, about my... about Pokemon Glaze. I will do my best, but it may take a while before we can actually go anywhere with it, because I have put myself in a very horrible position. Because I have no Psychic types. Gengar will get one shot by their pursuit for the most part, especially if I try to switch him out. And I have no flying types. I could catch a Wingull if I had Pokeballs, but I do not have Pokeballs. So I can't capture a Wingull to use. So I'm basically going to have to train until my Pokemon are strong enough to fight these guys and beat them. And it's going to take a while, and probably is going to take a lot of running back and forth to the Pokemon Center. So, mostly what you guys will be seeing will basically be a montage of me fighting these guys once I actually get that far. It may be a couple of days, because I only have so much time I can actually devote to playing Pokemon Glaze while actually uploading videos for you, and I have a job, and I'm trying to have some kind of a social life, and I'm trying to move out of the house, and I'm trying to get a new car. So I'm actually pretty busy, but I'll try to get more videos to you. I will have a few more today.